right, let's get caught up on what the hell we've been doing over here. The first thing is, look at that. The front clip, it's on. The list is getting shorter and shorter. Now, it was short right here, but by the end of this video, it gets even shorter. So make sure you stay tuned. This video is a little bit longer, but there's a lot of good shit in it. So take a look. And right now, I think with that engine and the front clip, you're really starting to get a sense of how badass it actually is. Look at what I have. Oh, man, that was not cheap. Hey, everybody. I wanted to show you, we got the front clip on, sort of. It's temporary bolted in. It's not coming off anymore, but it's not adjusted and aligned. We still have to mess with it a little bit. So it's already starting to look like something. I'm digging that. Look at this. We're going to use parts of the old drive shaft and parts of the new one, but the struggle was the tubing itself was kind of old and shitty, and we decided to err on the side of caution and get a brand new one made. Henderson Driveline in Westlake, Ohio. I've used them for years on a lot of the crazy shit I build. I just basically go in there with crumpled up bits of paper and some wishes and a handful of money, and I put it on the table, and I come out with stuff like this. And this is a really good one. Everyone was asking me, what are you going to do about your slip? Because that's not the kind of transmission. Well, I got the plate for the end of the 6-speed automatic at the yoke end, and then I basically had them fab me up a drive shaft with slip on it. So I've already had it in. It fits perfect, and I got them greasable so that you're able to service it later. And there's no paint on it, and honestly, I kind of want to clear coat it. I think it would look cool. So I'll give you a quick, I'll grab the camera and I'll stick it down in there. I'm working on brake lines right now, the front brake lines. It's storming outside. The front brake lines look like a ball of spaghetti. It looked like somebody was all drunk and put them together with their hands in their ass. And to be honest, I didn't do it. So I'm just straightening those out. I'll give you a quick look at that, and then we'll show you some other stuff. Boy, oh boy, is that a pretty piece. I don't know that you could get it any better. You might be able to find cheaper, but when you're talking about drive shafts, horsepower, and big money builds, I don't think cheap is the word you want to talk about. So there's one of the lines to the brakes. It goes up to the bottom of the proportioning valve, and that's a lot better than it was, because before it looked like somebody did it with their eyes closed. And then you can get a good look inside the engine bay. Over here on the battery tray, underneath that, we're going to eventually mount the ECU. Those are some lines left from the amp. The radiator is going to fill that up. We're also going to have the AC compressor down here, power steering lines, the power steering pulley from SHM. This goes to the airbox, or at least the intake tube. Man, that steering shaft barely fits in this thing, and we're getting a lot closer, so it's starting to look good. I'm pretty happy about that. Let's take a quick look underneath, but before, look here. This is the modified original cross member for the transmission. All I did was cut a chunk out of it, use some 1.5" C channel, and make it work. It can be pouring rain all at once. It's just not cold and freezing, so I don't care. Let it rain. April showers bring May flowers and all of that. But anyway, I've just been running the brake lines underneath here. I'm going to take the camera off the stand and I'll pull it around and give you a little peek. Just because, honestly, you'll get to see the engine mounts, the motor mounts, the way I fabbed them and used the Sean Highland Motorsports steel plates and got it all to work. So you'll get a better look underneath. I know a couple of people have been asking me about that, so let me do that real quick. So if you drag your ass underneath this thing, you can see where I ran one line down from the proportioning valve into the top of a T, and then I split them left and right, driver side, passenger side. You can also see some of the 1.5" C channel that I used, and I basically ran that over, and I used nice rubber isolator straps. Here's the transmission before I put in the cross member that was sprayed lovely black. And it's tough to film and talk at the same time, but there you go. You get a good look up right there I spaced everything with washers to level it out. It's welded to the frame, and it's also built on a 45-degree angle. So it works really well, and it would hold up a house. In this next segment, we're going to show you maybe a little bit of aligning this front clip so that the panel gaps are close. We're also going to show you what it looks like when the bed comes off, because we're ready to do the fuel system. And after we get the bed off and this front clip aligned, I'm going to be able to put in the radiator and start to final plumb and wire this engine. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the ECU. A couple of guys have actually cut a hole here and stuck it in the cowl. I don't like that. I don't want to cut the, I just don't want to do that. I think I'm going to put it down in somewhere. It's a big bug. But yeah, the next segment you'll see a couple of things. I got a couple of friends coming to help me tomorrow. Thankfully, because doing this by yourself gets a little tough. But anyway, it's beer and video time, so the work is over for right now. I'll pull this up again in the morning, see if we can't get something accomplished. So right off the bat, some people have noticed that I have a rubber stig hanging on my wall. You got that thing aligned yet?
Somebody messed it all up.
Somebody messed it up, huh? Yeah, it was you. It wasn't him. He's very good. So's this guy.
You got it?
Yeah.
Speak English.
Si habla.
They pretend not to speak English, but believe me, they do. These some talented motherfuckers right here. But anyway, they gave me a lot of help, and I'm very, very grateful for them. So once we got the bed off, we talked about a really cool place for the filler neck, and you'll see here in a second what I'm talking about. But I have to modify the back of the frame a little bit, cut some of the cross members out, get that tank mounted in there and plumbed up to the front. It'll be well worth it when the time comes. Those two guys are discussing, can it be done? I've already decided. Of course it can. I can do it. You guys go ahead and figure that out. But I already know I can do it. I rolled it outside to take a close look at it because it's freaking awesome. The paint, it's beautiful. It's not a 10-point paint job, but hey, take a look at this air box. That's going to go there for now when it leaves, but that's not going to be the permanent position. They may do some sort of Mustang air box later, but just going outside and taking a look at this thing, you can really tell, man, this is going to be a cool one. So the filler neck, it's going to go in here. And there's a big hole behind it. It looks like this, And I may need to get a different set of taillights, LED. They're real flat. They don't have a big bucket. And they don't take up a lot of space. But I really do believe that I can do it. And even if I can't, I still believe I can. Check this out. Start-stop switch from a newer Challenger. That's pretty cool. Even though it's not Hemi powered, it's still pretty cool. I don't know why I'm in love with the drive shaft. Probably because of the amount of money it costs. But there you go. Everything's hanging right. Yes, that one header is low. We are going to move that up when it goes to the exhaust shop. It's not going to happen today, and it's not going to happen when it drives out of here. But the exhaust shop's going to take care of it.
Today we're going to talk about getting closer. That's what's happening. We're getting a lot closer. This is the list before this is completed. A couple of these things are real vague. They're going to go, there's like 3 or 4 things on one line, but the reality is it's not much, belts, radiator, fill the trans with fluid, power steering lines, which I have, fuel tank. It's mostly the fuel tank at this point. Buttoning up the wiring, where I'm going to drill and mount. Mount the battery in the ECU cover. That's about it.
One of the things that I wanted to show was how I actually did the alternator bracket. Everybody was like, well, how the hell did you measure the belt and how'd you get it right? And, well, here's how. one of the bolts on the bottom of this engine actually aligned the pulleys perfect. So all I had to do was just like leave the bottom loose and pivot it over. And I added 4¼ inches. So to support that, I took some 1/4 inch plate, I drilled some holes in it, and I let it roll towards the frame 4¼ inches, and there you go. You see here, it's close to the frame, but it's not hitting, and it isn't going to go anywhere. You bolt these in, and it holds it there. Then you measure the belt with string, and you do it in millimeters, and allow for your tension, and there you go. I got it. I nailed it. Did I nail it first try? No. But check this out. I did on this one. I knew I needed these lines. I knew they were stock 2014 F150. They're too long, so I cut them. You just chop them down because I laid it into position and saw where I would need them. And that was about as far as it went. I chopped them off. I did put a flare on each end because they are high pressure. You don't want anything to happen to those once you mount them into position. But having all these pre-made bends, it was really nice. It looked fantastic. So I just needed to loop them together. You just take some sort of tubing, which I made into a loop, and just looped it together. Now, later you can add a cooler to that, which this transmission needs. And here we're going to talk about the shifting mechanism. I used the column shift from a 2010 Ford Raptor. So if you look under here, you can see there is the shift mechanism. There's the lines, how they go underneath the transmission. All this looks very sanitary. It's very clean. It looks cool, you know. Once we get that header up, it'll be dope. Check this out. It works perfect. I now have it connected to the column. Right here in this video, it's my hand, so it's not as clean as it should be, but yeah, it works perfect. Everything's real sanitary. And then this is the top half. I'll show you how I did this. So what I did was I basically took a piece of paper and I held it over top of the flange I wanted to duplicate, and I rubbed it with my finger. After I did that, I had a paper pattern, and I just pretty much bolted it down to the desk or bench, and I made it work. That's how I did it. And with that, it's totally adjustable. We mount it hidden behind the power brake booster, or as they call in the UK, the servo, but it clicks on, and I will reinforce this little lever to handle the stress of going up and down. But for the most part, that's it. That's how it works, and that's how I did it. There's a million other ways, but do you remember back when I had both trucks in here? My friends brought me an engine. They then showed me, oh, this carbureted motor, we want that out. Get that out of there. So go ahead and do that. Hurry up, put it on a tire, and sell it to some old guy. I was happy when I stuffed in the new one, but there was a lot of trouble. I had to make mounts. The first original mounts didn't work. That sucked. So I ground it all down, cut it all out, changed it again. Then they wanted the transmission painted. So I cleaned it. And I mean really cleaned it. I etch primed it based on the advice of a painter guy. Then I made it blue, and it looked awesome. It still looks awesome. My friend Pete came over with his Coyote Mustang. We did a burnout, and then we stuck the transmission to the engine and started to clean and paint the firewall. Then I ate a pickle. Love those pickles. They're fabulous. Then I saw a Trans Am. Not a GM guy, but that was a cool Trans Am. I like this Ford Focus RS better. Then I drank a beer. Many beers. Then I measured an alternator bracket. From there, I want to tell you, I hate that dump truck. Ask me about it later. Here's the headers that look like they were run over by a steamroller, and occasionally my son and I ride at a skate park, and I ran into these two awesome Mercedes. I talked with that guy for 2 hours. Then on the way home, I saw this Diamond T. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Was it for sale? No. The guy never returned my call. I met a girl. We made out under a car and in some other places. I painted the louvers on my Beamer. There's the motor mounts. You get a close look at what that's all about, how I did it, top and bottom. That's Henderson Driveline, where they made me my awesome drive shaft. Here's the first alternator belt and water pump belt on. Look at where we're going to put the fuel filler.
That is fantastic. It's going to be great. Pulling through a gas station and, probably go to...
We'll get back to that in a minute, but remember when I told you to ask me about the Ford dump truck that I hated? Here's why. Not only did I replace every single line on it a year ago from it sitting, it's only got 70,000 miles on it, but it's done more sitting than it's done driving. Look, broken bolts. Guess where? Exhaust manifold. Yeah. And I did these on this truck about 7 years ago, but I took the engine out and did them. Some I replaced with stainless, some I didn't. Guess which ones broke off? Yeah, I got them out. I did not get all of the broken studs out, however. I drilled and tapped what I could reach, and the rest I left. I did clean this up and get it a lot better, but you asked me why I hate this truck? That's exactly why I hate this truck. Everything broke. Everywhere you looked. A lot of fun. Today's a long day, but we did a lot. Take a look. We got the coolant hoses run down low so that there's no hoses popping out anywhere underneath these covers. That's what I wanted. I wanted a clean install. Some of them you see wires all over the place and they pull them out underneath. I routed everything, including the vacuum, down and back and around. And then let's pull this off here. See here, I got my fuel going. I got my vacuum coming back. I plugged off all the top lines, changed some of the coolant hoses so that they go in. I also have my ECU mounted. I hollowed out under the fender, basically Frenched it in underneath the battery tray. This isn't mounted yet, but you get an idea where it's going. You have the AC compressor down there. I have to change this pulley. I have it, I just didn't do it yet. But for right now, we've got a lot done today. The wiring and the way it's going to look, I mean, that's pretty much it. There'll be AC lines tucked under here somewhere. But we also got the wiring harness through the firewall today. And the hope, the hope for today was that I was actually going to start it and drive it out of here. But it's already after 8 o'clock and I think I'm going on 11 hours or so out here. I got a couple more hours in me and then that's it for today. But yeah, I wanted to at least get something filmed. Here, come around, take a look at this real quick. Okay, we got our Ford control pack, which is going to go on the kick panel here. We've got your OBD2 sensor, so you'll be able to check your codes. Your foot pedal, which will be over there mounted, and then you've got these, which is basically the ignition power to your fuel pump and everything. So we're through. I got to make the little patch cover for that. I actually have it already. So yeah, we're real close to making this thing live on its own. So the plan today was obviously to get this running and drive it out of the garage, but that didn't happen. Too many hours spent on details. I'm going to do that again tomorrow. This was thrown into the mix. It's the original 1968 air conditioning unit that hangs underneath the dash alongside of all the other stuff I stuffed in there. So I do have to clean this up and figure out how to get it hung so that they can pipe it later. But yeah, this video, so that's going to about do it for this update, but another one's going to be coming in a couple of days because this truck is getting delivered this week. So it is going to be done. It's going to be out of here. You do want to see it do a burnout. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. Like,
and share wherever you see fit. And if there's anything I can do to help you build yours, by all means, hit me up. And if there's anything you see that I've done that looks a little off, go ahead and tell me. I probably won't listen, but go ahead and tell me anyways. So yeah, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you soon.